the other student is responding, like behavior
Mm-hmm.
is good in my sessions. I'm not, I'm wondering if I should increase that behavior component more. We can talk about that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm just not really sure right now how to
Okay.
think about the behavior part
Okay.
in a different way.
So, have you gone through and currently made a new instructional decision?
No.
No, you haven't. Okay.
Mm-mm.
So, would it be okay if we worked on doing that together right
Yeah.
now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So whenever we do this, as you know, because you've done it before and you've gone through our training, we want to use the data as our main source of information, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the data lets us know, like we've talked about, that we probably should be considering an instructional change.
Yeah.
So let's pull out, here we go, I've got my resources here. We have our decision-making rubric here, and then some of our checklists. And I know we've been through this before, but every time that you make an instructional decision, remember it's like hypothesis, right? So we're making a hypothesis about what we think the needs of our student are,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're going to go through and see if that does seem to hold up, and then we implement it and we see if it works.
Yeah.
So to begin with, if we're looking at this rubric, we would go here. Looking at our trend line, we see that the trend line is flatter than the goal line.
Yep.
So it is making improvements, but that rate of improvement is not up to where we want, right?
Mm-hmm.
So we're going to make an instructional change, like you had said. So let's look at some of these questions. So were the early writing lessons delivered as intended? So looking at some of the stuff you've shown me and through our conversation, it sounds like you're feeling good about that. But could you tell me, would you agree with that statement that the lessons are delivered as intended?
Yeah, I think especially with those fidelity checks at the end of the mini lessons, that's definitely happening.
Perfect. Okay. Yeah. So we can say yes to that one.
Mm-hmm.
So now, has the student participated in all planned writing lessons for each full session?
Yeah. Attendance is good.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Okay. And when we looked at your dosage log, that seemed to be doing well.
Yeah.
So it sounds like the student is getting appropriate dosage.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least for what you had planned to do.
Yeah.
So have I implemented the intervention with fidelity, refer to mini lessons?
Yeah.
So you said that you have been doing that. And from what I observed, it looks like you've been doing that well.
Yeah.
So now we answered yes to those questions. So now let's look at diagnostics. So we're going to look at the instructional alignment tool and diagnostic checklist to see how well we're aligning our instruction. So a instructional alignment tool, in conversations that we've had before, it sounds like text generation is the area that you're working on with this student.
Yeah.
Would you agree that that's the need, or are there needs in either transcription or self-regulation as well?
No, I think text generation is still the area. I mean, before we had thought a little bit about the self-regulation, we had added the behavioral component, and I think that seems to be resolving itself.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, in terms of my instruction, I want to continue to focus on text generation.
Okay.
She's still having trouble with combining those ideas.
Mm-hmm.
And, in the lesson that you observed, just putting together simple sentences, just using the word and, we're still getting mucked up with that.
Okay. And would you say that's probably the main issue that you see with the students' writing?
Right now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So as far as getting ideas down on paper, that kind of stuff seems to be going okay, but it's actually, when it comes to the point of putting them together in a coherent sentence or paragraph, that's what the student is getting hung up on.
Yep.
Okay. So moving on from that, then, let's take a look at our diagnostic checklist. So with text generation, let's look here. As far as matched intervention, when I saw that you had done sentence combining, and it sounds like you've been working quite a bit on that.
Yep.
So that's good. You're picking mini lessons that are part of this specific area of writing. So that's good. Let's take a look at the process. So here, does the student do these 4 things? Would you say that this describes your student well or not?
Yeah, I think so. She's still... Wait, hold on. I get confused by this. Is this like where... I get confused. So shouldn't these be like... if they have trouble with these things, right?
Yep, that's right. So if your student, from our conversation, it sounds like your student sometimes struggles like organizing their idea or putting things down.
Yeah.
In a well-ordered way, revising their writing. So if these are areas that your student is doing well, like if this does describe your student, then we wouldn't want to focus on text generation.
Right. That's why I'm confused.
Yep.
So, so no, she's having some trouble with generating these ideas. Well, like this making a plan and organizing piece.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, good. And that, that seems to align with some of the stuff that I've seen from, the probes that she's been doing in the times that I've been in an Observe Your class.
Yeah.
So then
over here, like these simple and compound sentences, especially the compound sentences.
Yep, she struggles with that.
And the varied vocabulary. She's still struggling with that too. Very simple words.
Yes. Okay.
And repetitive.
Yes. Okay. Awesome. Anything else then?
Correct punctuation and capitalization.
Okay.
Yeah, especially like within the sentence. Still putting like lowercase i's in the middle of sentences and things like that.
Okay. And you have been having your instruction align with that, so that's good. You've been targeting those specific skills for your student. Okay, wonderful. So it looks like after going through that you have your instruction zoned in on the correct skills that your student is needing, which is great. So if we come back here to the decision-making rubric, so if the content area is appropriate, we're going to look at the intensification guide.
Right.